Good evening, be the oneers, and welcome. You're watching this quiz in English with me, Hayley Edmonds. Tonight there is €100 up for grabs on this quiz on pubs. Yes, pubs, a traditional English building, and all the questions are based all around this institution, which is very, very British. So there are 9 questions to answer before you take your part in €100. Yes, €100 are up for grabs tonight. You have to get 400 points. Each question is allocated a certain number of points, from 10 points for question number 1 right up to question number 9, which is worth 100 points. And for those of you, the super winners that get 100% correct and play strategically, I'll talk about that in just a second, well, there is another €50 we're going to be distributing between you guys. So for those of you who are playing strategically, well, we give you 4 jokers. Yes, 2 jokers that take away 2 wrong answers per question, and 2 jokers that will multiply the point score of each question by 3 and another by 5. So, if you're playing strategically, as I said, keep your jokers in your pockets, and the last 3 questions, pull them out and lay them down. So let's get started on this quiz on pubs. Question number 1. Pub is short for publicity, public house, public bar, or pubic hair. Pub is short for, that's short for what? Publicity, public house, public bar, or pubic hair. It's a relatively easy one to get started off with, ladies and gentlemen. So the correct answer is public house. Pub is short for public house. Now let's go to statistics. Statistically, not the majority of you didn't get that one correct. Statistically, 39% of you thought it was a public bar. 29% of you thought it was a public house. 25% of you thought it was publicity. And 6% of you thought it was pubic hair. Okay. Kevin Oix, you got that one correct, my friend. Let's move on to question number 2 of this quiz in English on pubs or public houses. Who famously said that a pub was the heart of England? Was it George Best? Yes, Northern Irish footballer. Was it the Queen? Was it Samuel Pepys? Or was it Tony Adams, the Arsenal footballer? Now, who famously said that the pub was the heart of England? There's quite a selection there, ranging from footballers to the Queen and even an author, a 17th century author. The right answer was Samuel Pepys. Now, Samuel Pepys, for those of you who don't know who he was, he kept a diary that is one of the most primary sources for the English Restoration period. In fact, he witnessed such great events, such as the Great Plague of London and the Great Fire of London. So it's a bit a reference in regards to history. That was Samuel Pepys, who actually worked in maritime. There we go. Statistically, 26% of you got that one correct. 31% of you thought it was the Queen. I'd like to think Queen Lizzie likes a little drink, but I doubt she'd say it was the heart of England. 23% of you thought it was George Best. I mean, you know, he kept a lot of pubs going. Edem Tony Adams, 20% of you thought it was him. Furry Dable, 30, you got that one correct. Well done. Let's move on to question number 3 of this quiz in English. Which of these pubs claims to be the oldest pub in Britain? Is it Wetherspoons, Staines? Is it the Old Ferry Boat Inn? Is it Ye Old King's Arms? Or is it Yates's in Woking? Now, which of these pubs claims to be the oldest pub in Britain? Now, it's a kind of a touchy subject, slightly debatable, because obviously we don't have any form of written evidence as to what day or year actual pubs were actually sold, got their first sold their first alcoholic beverage, but this particular pub does actually have quite a bit of evidence to prove that it goes back as far as 506 AD. It is the Old Ferry Boat Inn in Holywell, Cambridgeshire. Alcohol was served from the location, as I said, in 506 AD. And it even has its own resident ghost, a young girl that was apparently buried underneath the tiled flooring. Statistically, you're doing very well. 37% of you got that one correct. Maybe it's the name, Yold, very Bowen, and not Wetherspoon Staines. If any of you have been to the UK, you know that Wetherspoons is another British institution in itself. 19% of you thought it was Wetherspoon Staines. 27% of you thought it was the old King Arms. And 17% of you thought it was Yates and Woking. Okay, Josie Rodriguez, you got that one correct, my friend. Let's move on to question number 4 of this quiz in English. What is the name of the famous pub in Coronation Street? The Rover's Return, the Royal Oak, the King's Arms, or the Nag's Head? Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Coronation Street is a British soap that's been running for about 70 years now. That's probably about 60 years. And the pub actually opened in 1960. In 1918, is an actual real pub in real life. The pub changed its name from the Philip Ridley to the Rover's Return. The Rover's Return is a famous pub in Coronation Street. Now, statistically, how well do you guys do? 34% of you got that one correct. 28% of you thought it was the Royal Oak. 26% of you thought it was the King's Arms, and 12% of you thought it was the Nag's Head. John Quirty, well done. You're doing well, my friend. That was question number 4. Let's move on to question number 5 of this quiz in English. In July 2018, how many pubs were counted in London? Was it 2,843? Was it 1,103? Was it 3,823? Or was it 2,983? Now, in July 2018, how many pubs were counted in London? How many pubs were counted in London? Now, the right answer is 3,823 pubs, which equates to one pub for every 2,346 Londoners. There we go. When you're in London, at least you'll never be thirsty. That's a good sign, especially for an alcoholic beverage. 37% of you got that one correct. Well done. 11% of you thought it was 1,103. 29% of you thought it was 2,843. And 24% of you thought it was 2,983. Khaled Medwell, once again, you're doing a good job. You got 120 points. Let's try and keep that up and move on. Try and get to 400 points. Try and get your share in 100 euros. Come on. It's going to be a relatively easy one tonight for anyone who likes a little beverage down at the public house. Question number 6. Who famously shouted, "Get out of my pub"? Now, was it Cat Slater? Was it Pat Butcher? Was it Peggy Mitchell? Or was it Grant Mitchell? Now, it was a famous catchphrase or famous saying from a personality or one of the actors in EastEnders. I just want to know which one of them was famous for saying, and there's even a kind of a montage on YouTube of this person continuously saying it to several different people throughout the series of the soap. The right answer is Babs herself, Babs Windsor, Peggy Mitchell. Yes, Peggy Mitchell. Peggy Mitchell, who was a landlady of, I'm not sure if it's a question actually later, the pub in Emmerdale, in EastEnders. Statistically, 45% of you got that one correct. 21% of you thought it was Pat Butcher. 16% of you thought it was Cat Slater. And 18% of you thought it was Grant Mitchell. Mary-Lou, you got that one correct. Let's move on to question number 7, which is worth 80 points. In 1988, who were the new landlords of the Old Vic? Now, the Old Vic is the public house in EastEnders. Was it Peggy Mitchell? Was it Patton Frank? Was it Eddie Royal? Or was it Steve Owen? Excuse me. In 1988, who were the new landlords of the Old Vic? They took over from Angie and Den Watts, who handed it to Pat and Frank. Yes, it was Pat and Frank. Pat and Frank. Remember Pat Butcher? Pat and Frank Butcher. What an influence Pat Butcher has on fashion today. I'm even wearing a pair of earrings that she would probably have worn back in the day. Yes, it was Pat and Frank Butcher. Looks like a majority of you knew that one. It was 59% of you got that one correct. 9% of you thought it was Peggy again. 15% if you thought it was Eddie Royal, and 17% if you thought it was Steve Owen. Mary-Lou, once again, you're doing well. You've got 400 points. So you'll be taking away your share in 100 euros tonight. Move on to question number 8. In Only Fools and Horses, what is the name of the local pub? Is it the King's Head? Is it the Nag's Head? Is it the Prince? Or is it the Crown? In Only Fools and Horses, what is the name of the local pub? I wonder if they're going to put on the Only Fools and Horses Christmas special again this year. That was such a classic. It was such a classic Christmas special. So, well, I don't want to know that. I want to know what is the name of the local pub in the Only Fools and Horses. The right answer, ladies and gentlemen, is the Nag's Head. Yes, the Nag's Head, supposedly based in Peckham, but sorry to tell you all this, guys, sorry to reveal it, but it was actually, in fact, filmed in various pubs around the UK, according to what they were filming at the time. So from Brighton to Bristol to even Hull, Ipswich, all around. But we were led to believe it was in Peckham. Why could you do this to us, Del Boy? Arcado Games, you got that one correct, my friend. Did I give the statistics? No, I didn't. 50% if you thought it was a Nag's Head, 18% if you thought it was a King's Head, 15% if you thought it was a Prince, and 18% if you thought it was a Crown. Let's move on to the final question of this quiz in English on pubs. BD17 7QZ is the postcode for which TV soap pub? Is it the Nag's Head? Is it the Woolpack? Is it the Old Victoria or the Old Vic? Or is it the Mariners? BD17 7QZ. Now, if you know your postcodes, you could probably work it out from the first letters. As you know, it's I take the first letters from the biggest city, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And this would actually mean it's Bradford. So, what's the answer? Ladies and gentlemen, I've given you a little clue. The right answer is the Woolpack. Yes, the Woolpack in Emmerdale. It's obviously a fictional pub. And its current owners are Chaz and Charity Dingle. The Dingles are still there? Okay. And it's based in Esshot, Shipley, just north of Bradford, hence the postcode. 55% if you got that one correct. 7% if you thought it was the Nag's Head. Again, no, that was apparently in Peckham. In fact, that was everywhere. So 7% of you. Shame on you. 25% if you thought it was the Old Vic, and 13% if you thought it was the Mariners. Quentin, great to see you playing this quiz in English again. Well, that's a wrap for tonight. Quentin, you've got 500 points. You'll be taking home a part of 100 euros. Well done. I'll tell you exactly how much in a few seconds. So there are 42 super winners tonight who will be taking home €1.48. Not bad. So for those of you who got more than 400 points, that was 348 of you, you'll be taking home 29 cents. Every cent counts, so you just keep that in your bank, keep on playing, and you'll be seriously getting some funny money. So guys, thank you very much for playing this quiz in English with me, Hayley Edmonds, tonight. I will be back tomorrow night for a Strictly Come Dancing special. Yes, a Strictly Come Dancing special. If you are a fan, come along, play, test your knowledge. There is 500 euros up for grabs tomorrow night at 8 o'clock on Bethewone, this quiz in English, for all of you that are fans of Strictly Come Dancing. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. Have a lovely evening, and I'll be seeing you at 8 o'clock tomorrow for a huge jackpot of 500 euros up for grabs and a Strictly Come Dancing special. Have a great evening. Goodbye.